Speaking of not any good, the SEC West is a steaming pile too, ain't it? Yes, yes. And again, in the comments, oh, if the SEC West is so bad, Lou, then why did the SEC West win the SEC title a bunch of years in a row a long time ago? Because we're not currently living in a long time ago. God, what part of this shit don't y'all understand? The SEC West is not good now. Okay? That statement doesn't have anything to do with last year, the year before, nothing. I'm talking about right now. There's not a great team in the SEC West. Why does that make you so fucking mad? Ole Miss sitting here at one loss and went out and lose to Alabama. Worst Alabama team in over a decade. LSU loses to Florida State. They get absolutely ran out of their own building by Tennessee. Lost by 30 points or whatever it was at home to the Voltards. Auburn and Texas A&M were barely Power 5 programs at this point. Arkansas lost to Liberty last week. And then you got the two Mississippi schools who both took giant dumps yesterday. The SEC West just isn't any good. But why is that? What does that have to do with 5 or 10 years ago? I don't get it. I don't understand. That tells me you agree with me. When I say the SEC West isn't any good this year, and you start blabbering in the comments section about 2016 or 2017 or 2019, that tells me I'm right and you're agreeing with me. Because you're not doing anything to dispute the facts I'm laying out in front of you, which is that the SEC West is not that good this year and the SEC East is just clearly better. Why does that make you so mad? I don't understand. I don't get it. But Ole Miss, yep, you lost. Lane Kiffin lost to his daddy yet again. Nick Saban bends him over his knee and spanks his little bottom blue on TV in front of God, Jesus, baby Jesus, and everybody else. What was the score of this disaster? 30-24. It was actually a great game to watch. I thought that fumble that Ole Miss had, was that towards the end of the second quarter? I guess initially it wasn't ruled a fumble, and they reviewed it, and it was reviewed a fumble. First of all, it was a fumble, but I thought that was the biggest play of the game. Zach Evans got hurt on that play, was unable to return. All the momentum went to Alabama because they got the ball back, went down and scored. I thought that was a pretty big play. And as good as Judkins is, the other running back for Ole Miss, without Zach Evans, Judkins just wasn't enough. That last drive, he had that big run. The Ole Miss running back had that big run. Ole Miss had a chance to win the game at the end. They were down 6. They get the ball back. That freshman running back, Judkins, had a huge run down to the 30 or 35-yard line. But then Ole Miss had to throw the ball because Judkins was just gassed. He was wore out. I mean, you could see it. If you go back and watch a couple of plays in a row after that big run that are pass plays, Judkins isn't even doing anything. He can barely stand up. He's just wore out. He'd been playing the entire second half, basically, because Zach Evans had been hurt. He has that big run. Ole Miss can't call a timeout because they're trying to save their last one, that kind of thing. So they choose to throw the ball down there at the end, and unfortunately, Ole Miss is just not a very good throwing team this year. Jackson Dart, as good as he is with the RPOs and the read options and the zone reads and stuff like that, with getting the running backs the ball, in obvious passing situations, Ole Miss just really hasn't been a threat this year. Mingo's a good wide receiver, but, Jackson Dart, first-year starter, it hasn't been a great year throwing the ball for Ole Miss. So when they get in that situation down at the end, there's been a lot of second-guessing. Why didn't they run the ball? The guy was clearly gassed. So I don't even necessarily blame Kiffin for calling passing plays there. Now, Jackson Dart can't take that sack. Was it that third down play? It was 3rd and 5 or something from around the 10-yard line. And he holds onto the ball a little too long, takes a 10-yard sack. Now it's 4th and 16. Last play, last-ditch effort deal. They throw a post into the end zone. Good coverage by Bama. Knocked down, basically game over at that point. But Ole Miss was sitting on 1 loss. Now they got 2. So does Bama. So do the Corn Dogs. But the Corn Dogs, of course, win the West. They beat Arkansas yesterday. Barely. I mean barely. In a bad Arkansas team. Is Liberty better than LSU? It's pretty close, isn't it? It's pretty close, isn't it? Liberty beat LSU 21-19 last week. I mean, Liberty beat Arkansas 21-19 last week. What'd you do? You beat Arkansas 13-10. KJ Jefferson at least played last week against Liberty most of the game. He got hurt and they took him out. KJ Jefferson didn't play at all in this game. Arkansas is just horrendous without KJ Jefferson. You beat them 13-10. Not only did KJ Jefferson not play, the backup got hurt and they had to put their third string quarterback in the game. You beat them 13-10. Jaden Daniels. Look, Jaden Daniels has had some good games this year, particularly running the ball, extending some plays and extending some drives. I'm not going to take anything away from Jaden Daniels. He's had some games where he's basically won the game for LSU. He passed for 80 yards yesterday. 80 in 2022 against Arkansas. I don't know what's going on with LSU. Here's the thing. Is LSU the best team in the West? Yeah. They beat Bama. They earned their right to the SEC title game, right? They beat Bama and they beat Ole Miss, right? So, they've earned it. They've earned it. Their only losses are to an average Florida State team and a 30-something point blowout at home to Tennessee. And Tennessee's an SEC East team, so of course they beat LSU. Any SEC East team worth their salt is going to beat LSU. I mean, let's just call it like it is. LSU's not, is LSU the best team in the West? Yes. What are they in the East? The fourth? What would they be, like the fourth best team in the East, maybe? Third or fourth. Give them the benefit of the doubt. Third or fourth. Just not very good. You got, that linebacker is good. Perkins. Man, too bad you don't have like 7 or 8 more of them. Then you'd have a legitimate defense like some other teams I know, like Georgia. But yeah, Perkins is good. But LSU gets the win over Arkansas, but barely. Ole Miss loses to Alabama. Therefore, LSU clinches the SEC West and earns the right to show up in Athens in a couple of weeks and get Athens. Might as well be Athens. Hell, we could play on the moon. It wouldn't matter. But you earn the right to show up in Atlanta in a couple of weeks and get your asshole exploded in the SEC title game by UGA. Congratulations. You have absolutely no chance to win that game. Georgia's going to be somewhere, if I had to guess, I'd say Georgia's going to be somewhere between a 14 and a 17-point favorite. Georgia's going to win the game by 3+ scores. That's what's going to happen. You can't compete with Georgia. You can't. You don't have the Jimmies and the Joes. You're not good enough. Jaden Daniels isn't good enough throwing the ball to beat Georgia. He's not. As far as his ability to run around, over half the teams we played this year can run around like Jaden Daniels, but not against Georgia. Sorry. And you won't be able to run the ball against Georgia either. Why? No one runs the ball on Georgia. Period. You can't find a game in the last 3-4 years where somebody ran the ball on Georgia. Another one with old-ass comments. Oh, what happened the last time you played LSU? Already in the comments yesterday. Last time you played LSU, they whooped you. Good luck. What does that have to do with anything? What's wrong with you? Last time you played Alabama, you lost. This year you won. Apparently what happened last year or 2 years ago or 10 years ago doesn't matter. I don't understand people, man. Y'all are weird. Y'all are weird. Congratulations to LSU for winning the division in Brian Kelly's first year. And let me go ahead and congratulate Brian Kelly ahead of time. He's about to be 0-3 versus Georgia. Whee! Brian Kelly about to be 0-3 versus Georgia. Google that. Google that if you want to.